going to get into another higher thought, and this time it's going to be the idea, a Hasidish idea called Olam Shana Nefesh. It's not just Hasidish, it goes back to the Zohar, Olam Shana Nefesh, and it's derived from the pasuk Bahar Sinai Ashan Kuloi. Ashan is the letters Ayin, Shin, and Nun, which is Olam Shana Nefesh. Now let's explain what that means. There are three realms of existence. There's the Nefesh, which is within our minds, within our hearts. There's Shana, which is within this world where we look around. There's me, there's you, there's everybody else around us. And then there's Olam, which is the spiritual realm, which is above us, where you have everything from angels going on all around, an entire world of neshama going on all over there. So let's understand how things trickle down from the top down, and then we'll start going through how we could compare all these three. From the top down, if you look into the different svarim of Kabbalah, you'll see that there was the neshama. Neshama is this one entity that is basically part of Hashem, and Hashem says, I want this part of me to go down and recognize me from the bottom up. I want you to recognize me in every single situation that could possibly be in this world. So Hashem takes the neshama and puts him into Gan Eden and puts him into a person, a physical person named Adam. Puts him in. And he says, in Gan Eden, in this place, you'll get to learn everything that goes on in the world below you from the top down. You'll be able to gain the instructions of how to maneuver, how to go around in the earth below you just by being here. You'll be able to see everything from the top down, get to know how to live, how to be a person, how to get through struggles. If you only stay here and do what I ask of you. If you stay in Gan Eden, la'avda u'lashamra, you will la'avda, which has a couple of meanings, which is to work on it or to daven on it, u'lashamra, and to protect it, keep it, save it. You keep it dear and save it within you. If you do that, you'll be able to live here peacefully. But what ended up happening was the neshama, Adam, went and he ate from the tree. The snake came and had them eat. So they were sent out of Gan Eden, and now the neshama is down on earth. The neshama needs to go and come back to Hashem, but it feels like I don't know Hashem. I didn't spend enough time in Gan Eden to get to know Hashem. I was there for a mere few hours, and I was kicked out, and I found myself down on earth, and now I have to get back up there. And how do I even go there? I need to get to know who this is. Just like imagine getting a job, and the boss tells you, well, I can't teach you everything, but I'll give you the basics, and then from there, anytime you have a question, just come and ask me. I'll give you an answer, but I can't sit here for the next 2 years and teach you everything. You have to go through it on your own. You have to get to know the job completely from the bottom up. Start by data entry, then do some telephone calls, then be involved with salespeople, then start looking into shipping, and then, slowly you'll get a feel for the entire business, and at some point you'll become a buyer, and at some point you'll become a partner, and who knows, maybe one day you'll inherit this entire business, right? Who knows? A good dream, but that's what the neshama came down here to earth. It says, listen, I need to figure out Hashem. Hashem says, I gave you a world. In this world you have a whole bunch of nature. From nature, you could get to know me. I don't just have nature. I don't just have Shana down here. I have an entire thing called Nefesh. Every person will be able to find me through their personal struggles, through the pattern of their life. Where life takes them, they'll be able to find me. So the neshama says, okay, I got 3 places to work here. I have the Olam world, which is Gan Eden, which is soul and angels. Then I have the world, which is the physical world that we see around here, the 3-dimensional world, and then we go down to one more level, which is the level of each individual person, and that is Nefesh. So Neshama says, I'm going to use all 3 of these realms in order to get to know Hashem, in order to get closer to Him. So Neshama went and broke apart all of his pieces. He went and broke himself apart, and he made small neshamas and big neshamas. Big neshamas, we see a person, a big tzaddik, we say, oh, he has a big neshama, or someone who's a Down syndrome, or someone like going through some they're selective mutes or whatever, or unselective mutes, deaf people, or they have their problems that they deal with, and the world can't be connected to it because we just don't understand. They're beyond us. There's something above us that takes us there, and they have big neshamas. And many of us, most of us probably, we have little pieces of neshamas, and those little pieces are called nitzoitzos. Nitzoitzos of the neshama are spread around all over. And the neshama says, let's say your nitzoitz, let's say my nitzoitz over here, is made out of frequency 1, 2, 3, okay, or color purple. Now you will find all the purples in the earth. You're going to go around the earth and look for things that connect with your nature. Because the nature that a person has will connect him to the nature of the world. If somebody has a nature of fixing and building things, they will end up becoming a contractor. They will put their interest into things in nature that could help them forward their own nature. They will look for ways to help themselves. If somebody is hungry, they look for food, because that nature of food is going to help my nature of staying alive. The nature of the world of building stuff and wood and screws and metal and electronics, all of that is going to help me forward my nature to go ahead and connect to that part of my neshama, to be able to do things properly, get to see Hashem through that. So we use Shana in order to make our nefesh better. Okay? In order, every nefesh uses Shana, and every Shana uses nefesh. You need the society of the world. You need the world to be. You need the society of the world to keep the world running. The people in our lives, the people that surround us, every person individually with their talents will keep the Shana up. And the same thing is, every person in our lives in this world keeps the Olam up. And just like that, the Olam keeps the Shana and the Nefesh. Everything is perfectly correlated, one to the other to the other. Everybody has their connection, their way up through all three realms. And we could, through our nature, through our personalities, we could work on ourselves to get to know Hashem on a very, very deep level. And that's what Neshama wants for us in this life. He wants you to find your connection to Hashem from the bottom up. And it starts with getting to know who you are, getting to know your personality, getting to know what you're good at, seeing the patterns in your life, noticing the things that happen to you, and learning the lessons out of them. Yeah, I was always bullied in school. My teachers didn't like me. The only place I was good at was in baseball, and when I did these things, or when I did computers, or whenever I sat down to write, I was good at. And you find the places in your life that you had hardships with, and you find the things that you have it easier with, and you take those two parts and you merge them together. You say the hard things that I went through are lessons for me to know not to repeat, because those are the problems that keep me away from the good things. I want to do good things, but then I have problems that make me sad, they make me angry, they make me lazy, they shut me down. So I need to push them away. I need to learn how to deal with them, and I also have to learn what to do next time so that those things don't happen again, in order for me to do the good things that could actually make me strive and move forward and live a happier life. So you have the work of the nefesh, which is getting to know who you are, which means no matter what I went through, no matter what pain I'm dealing with, it doesn't, like you went through a life and you weren't happy with many things that happened, and people left you that you didn't expect, that you didn't want. You're not making as much money as you want, and those are all problems that are like, okay, you hear these words and they're like, okay, I understand what they mean. But not just they understand what they mean. When someone says, yes, I tried becoming an artist for 20 years, it's tough. Those two words, it's tough, mean that it's 20 years of not knowing how to pay rent. It's 20 years of choosing between groceries and gas. It's 20 years of so much hardship, of not knowing, not being settled, always wondering what's going to be tomorrow. All of that insecurity that goes along is just on these two words, it's tough. And we have to deal with those things. Those things weigh on us, and they shape us for the future. We do things in the future based on the insecurities or securities of the past. If we know that we are confident with good things, we're going to go ahead and take risks. But if we are not confident and we are insecure, we're not going to want to do anything in our life. We're going to stay away from anything that could implicate us, anything that could bring us into problems, anything that could get us into situations that we won't know how to get out, because we don't want to be down. We don't want to be shut down. But the idea is not just to stay away, because staying away is basically shutting yourself down. You're shutting yourself down from everything else in the world, so you're trying to stay in some place in the middle where there's no stress, there's nothing. It's just tohu vavoyu. There's no up, there's no down, there's no positive, there's no negative. That's tohu vavoyu. So you're not doing anything bad. You're just shutting yourself away from doing good. So it's a very tough space to be in. So a person has to get to know themselves, go through all these stories that you lived through, that toughness in life, and learn how to get through it. So you should be able to go ahead and do good things in your life. And that's how you're going to have the negative pulling into the positive, as we spoke last week. Now, how does a person do that? How does a person get to learn things in their life? As we spoke about many times as well, through metaphors, through seeing images in the world, seeing stories happen in front of you, listening to stories, hearing of experiences of people, or reading the knowledge that people put forth. You get to see how things work, and you get to learn lessons from the outside as well. And you start comparing things to yourself. You take lessons and you start teaching yourself how to become better based on somebody else's success or based on somebody else's failure. You learn things from others, and the same thing, you learn things with yourself. You look at your stories, you get to know them, and you get to see the people that you saw. You start noticing the details that were surrounding you, and you start connecting to that part of nature. You start seeing other people that deal with this problem, so you go over to them and you help them. You create communities that help each other, and everybody just becomes one. Everybody starts becoming this individual that they really hope to be. They realize that yes, we all have problems, we all have things that we have to go through, but that doesn't take away the fact that I'm a human being with certain talents and I'm going to fulfill them. And when all people get to know that they are worth something, and the community starts feeling like they are worth something, then they start looking at the details around them. Just like when somebody goes through a story, you have to start thinking, okay, what exactly are the words that person told me that got me so offended? And where exactly was I? Who was standing around listening to this, to me being ashamed and me being embarrassed? Who else knew about this? And why did it happen? Where is this person coming from? You gotta start going through all these details until you get a clear picture, so you're not just lost in the shame. You actually start making sense of things, so you start breaking it down, so next time I don't end up making the same mistake, or next time I'll know how to prepare better when I'm confronted, or it's not going to bother me so much when I'm being judged by this person or by anybody else. And the insecurity of losing my job or whatever is not going to be my problem. I'll be fine. I'll be able to handle myself properly. And so we look at those details. When we go through our personal story, we look at the details surrounding us. And when every person goes into Shana, every Nefesh who says, I went through the details of my life, I learned the lessons, and I'm doing the good things. And then we go into Shana, which is the community, and we all go together, and all these people, everybody, their own individual, standing there saying, we are united as one in this belief that we are working towards the belief in Hashem. We're working towards getting to know Hashem from a very intimate place, as the Neshama wants from us. That's when we start looking at the details surrounding us even more. Not just the details of who was standing around me and what time it was and what did I do and what did he say. Over here we start looking around. Look at the stars. Look at the moon. Look at the situations, the patterns that are happening in the world. That's called Olam. You start seeing that there are waves of different, like the sometimes that when the devil just takes over for a couple of years and just wreaks havoc and changes mindsets, changes the system, corrupts people, and entire institutions fall down. You have the education system in the U.S. is just a total mess. The immigration system is a total mess. The whole politics is one big corrupt system. And you look at all that and you're like, and these are the leaders of this country. These are the leaders of the U.S. If these policies, they're not just one single policy. There's 20, 40, like Afghanistan. You go on. I don't want to go politics over here. But the idea is, you start seeing so many policies just falling apart. You start wondering who's really in charge. What's really going on top? Do you want to go that there's a deep state, or do you want to go that there's a devil? Do you want to say that there's actually a higher spirit that just took over the world for a couple of years? And then you see how there's a fight. You start seeing the world going in different directions, how the winds of the world travel. You start understanding different things on a deeper level. You start seeing the world in the wars, geopolitical. You start seeing the main characters of the play, and you start wondering who do they represent from the past and the history. You start seeing a person is like, oh, this guy's probably Haman. Oh, and this guy's probably George Washington. And this guy is, because you see their characteristics, you see the things they say, you see the nature that they carry. And every generation, these souls come again, and they have to fulfill their duty in their color or their frequency in order to reach Hashem. And you see, every generation has leaders, every generation has its people, and Hashem sends 1 in a million. This guy is going to be taking care of these things, and this guy is going to be president, and this guy is going to be rabbi, and everybody has their position that they have to fill. Hashem makes it perfectly. Everything works out like that, and we start seeing Hashem from that way. We start seeing that getting back to the land of Israel in 1948 it isn't just a coincidence that we won a war. It's a pure miracle. 3 years after a Holocaust, 6 million Jews are killed, and 3 years later, we have our own nation, our own country. We have our borders back. That's like, it's unbelievable. There's nothing short of a miracle. So we start seeing things in such terms. We start seeing that the world is not just run around me. It's not just run around my community. There's an entire world where Hashem just runs everything. Hashem runs every single individual second, a millisecond, and what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. People wake up late and they walk out of their house and they bump into a person they haven't seen for 15 years. And then you have people who miss a flight and they get saved. And then the other way, people happen to have left at this exact moment, and that's when a drunken driver came. And you have all these stories of perfectly calculated stuff that nobody could. It's like we say, oh, we got to leave it up to chance, because chance it's just going to happen. It's luck. And we could look at it in that way. We could say, oh, it's just luck, whatever. God created a thing called nature, and in that nature there's a thing called luck. And luck is not part of the rules of the game, but luck is, it ends up happening. And sometimes we see people get lucky. Too many times we start questioning, is this game rigged? But because it's just not the nature of things that everything just goes good. So we don't want that. We want an equal playing field. If everybody's going through something, let us all go through it together. But the point is now, the neshama says we have to get to know Hashem. So we go through nefesh, we get to know ourselves personally, we get to see our talents, we get to see what we're good at, we get to learn the lessons from the things that bother us and continue growing, and whenever problems come, we grow up. And then we go into, and as you become this strong person, you go out to the world, you help other people with their problems, start connecting, making communities, making a better world, building families, and this shana becomes one big life. Even if one guy's a plumber, one guy's an electrician, one guy is learning, one guy's a soldier, everybody's coming together because everybody's working towards getting to know Hashem. And then when you take this entire cluster, this entire group of people, this entire community, this entire nation, and you say, okay, everybody together, let's work together to see Hashem in our life every single day. Start seeing it around the world. Start communicating this way. Start noticing things, making correlations, reading history, learning the Torah, and seeing the entire world as something much bigger than just me personally and my problems and my bank account. It's much bigger than that. It's a really deep and holy level to be at. And that's the Olam that we're trying to get to. And we want to make that Olam Shana Nefesh, when we get to the place of the angels, that the angels themselves should see this is the force on earth. This is the force that pushes everything running. This belief in Hashem is what makes everything happen. And every person, as they become holier and better, they connect to their spiritual being. They start finding themselves in their life that they are happy, they are content, they are at peace at every moment. Why? Because they are walking in a place called light, and they are controlling things up there. When we do mitzvahs over here, things are happening over there. Bigger things are happening in above. And as they say, what's the weakest part of a chain is the weakest link, right? Something like that. The weakest link of the chain is the problem. And if you have one person and he still deals with one little problem, that problem is a weak link and we have to fix it. If you have a community and there's somebody inside that's just not understanding the values that we stand for, and they don't grow towards Hashem, they don't see this way of life, we have to guide them properly so that they know it. We can't just expect everybody to be at this level. We have to guide, we have to educate and lead everybody up to this level, lead everybody up to this knowledge. Teach them from a young age. Don't be busy with all this nonsense that a school is meant for whatever, like a school is meant only for my specific way of being a Jew. No, a school, education of Jewish children, means that your school is here to teach how to connect to Hashem, how to see Him in every second of your life with emunah, because children my age didn't grow up with Emunah. We didn't get this teaching, we didn't get this education, and it would be nice that we go back to our roots and see what we're actually here for. That would be just awfully beautiful. And now that we have the Shana like working together to make themselves grow up and see Hashem in every minute of their life, each person slowly goes into the world of Olam and they start maneuvering things. They start making changes. They start seeing Hashem, because when we walk around happy in our life, we do things, and we do things out of love to Hashem. When we daven in our life, we're not here. Time doesn't exist. When we work, when we spend time with our families, when we learn, everything that we do, when we keep Shabbos, when we eat, when we make a bracha, any mitzvah that we do, we're just walking in light. And as we do that, there is no time, there's nothing else that's more important. Everything is way more spiritual, and we live in a place of Olam, and we are able to just make things happen over there. With our little mitzvahs over here, shaking a lulav, there's something happening in the world of Olam, that the angels and the entire neshama goes and controls the angels to go and do what's right for this world, to make Hashem's name one. And we see what's going on around there, we notice the details, we start seeing things around us, we start hearing things, getting to know knowledge, seeing personalities, seeing neshamas of holy tzaddikim that have made it up there and are waiting for the day of Tchiyas HaMesim, waiting for the day and just sitting there in Gan Eden. So that's Olam Shana Nefesh for you. I know it's a lot of information, but I feel like it's the next step after as we're going over here in this series. I feel like this is a next step that we have to get to. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. There's much more where that came from. So Baruch Hashem, I'm a hypnotherapist. My name is Lemmer. You could reach me at lemmerhypno@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.